Friday the 13th is a day, for better or worse, associated with bad luck. Even here in Russia, people of the superstitious variety try their best to avoid doing things which might bring them bad luck on this day. And this year, 2026, we actually have 3 Friday the 13ths, in February, March, and then in November. So I want to make a series of videos where I highlight some Russian superstitions, things that here in Russia people might try to avoid doing in order to avoid getting some bad luck on Friday the 13th. And since the first one is in February, the day before Valentine's Day, I thought it might be kind of interesting to do some superstitions tangentially or maybe even directly connected to activities that you might be involved in on Valentine's Day. After all, you want to be careful of bad luck on this day of amour. So let's start with flowers. So obviously flowers are a staple of Valentine's Day, and Russians love giving and receiving flowers pretty much year-round. Kind of a thing here, even more so than I think in the States. But regardless, with Valentine's Day, at least in the States, I feel like the staple is a dozen roses or a dozen of some type of flower. I feel like that's just kind of the default. Now, here in Russia, that's a big no-no. That's a faux pas, a major one that you want to avoid. See, the thing is, even numbers of flowers are considered bad luck or a bad omen. This has to do with the fact that the widely accepted tradition with even numbers of flowers is to give them at funerals. So yes, if you want to express your love and affection for somebody, or just brighten someone's mood and lift their spirits, make sure that you're buying an odd number of flowers. Now at the same time, probably avoid 13, just to be on the safe side. But yes, odd numbers of flowers, that's the way to go. Now, I also want to draw your attention to this floral arrangement, this collection of tulips that we have here next to me. Now, there are some Russians who would even probably say that I made a mistake with this arrangement. See, there are some people in Russia who also think gifting or presenting somebody yellow flowers is also a bad sign, a bad omen, that you will split up and that there will be troubles in the relationship. Now, I did a little digging. It seems like a lot of this, at least in modern Russia, is connected to a song lyric, but you know, song lyrics do have magic powers over us. As much as I love music, I recognize that. However, there are plenty of yellow flowers just out there in the world. Tulips, I think, are one of those flowers that are pretty classically yellow. I'm not a florist, but I also think too that if you're gifting somebody flowers, that they're probably not going to go too hard into the color, especially if it's part of an arrangement. So yeah, I guess feel free to go with yellow flowers. In the comments below, for any Russian who's seeing this, let me know if the yellow flowers thing is like a really serious thing to avoid. Obviously, my wife didn't have a problem with the yellow flowers, and I think when you combine them nicely, you get a nice effect. Got Viking colors here. I guess that was kind of not intentional, but skål. Moving along, Valentine's Day is a day that people will often try to go to restaurants, they'll make the reservations, but it's a Saturday this year, it's gonna be a busy time, and just in general, things have gotten kind of expensive in this country. So I would imagine that here in Russia this year, people are probably, if they're going to be doing anything for Valentine's Day, perhaps focusing on perhaps a home-cooked meal, if they're going to do dinner. Now, in that situation, the thing that you want to avoid is spilling the salt. Now, I understand spilling the salt is bad luck in the States, in the West in general, but if growing up, I kind of learned and just sort of through cultural osmosis picked up the idea that if you do spill the salt, you can pick up a pinch of it and throw it over your left shoulder. That isn't quite how it works here. See, the thing is, spilling the salt isn't just bad luck. Here in Russia, spilling the salt is actually an omen. It's a sign that you're going to get into an argument with someone close to you. So obviously on Valentine's Day, that could be probably the person that you are having dinner with. So if you want to perhaps avoid an argument or a confrontation of sorts on Valentine's Day, don't spill the salt. In general, don't make a mess out of the kitchen if you're preparing. And yeah, just be good, I guess, in general too. It's also a good way to avoid an argument. Once dinner is prepared, this might be a little bit hard to see, it's obviously time to set the table. Now, if you're a bit of a butterfingers, this is something you're going to want to pay attention to because you don't want to drop the silverware. There's a meaning to all of this in Russian superstition. If you were to drop a knife, which I'm not going to because my wife will watch this video and I'm not going to drop silverware. If you were to drop a knife accidentally, it's a symbol that a man is going to come to the house. I guess maybe if you have guests coming, then that's fine. Otherwise, you might not want a third party in your Valentine's Day celebrations. Maybe you do. I don't know. So it's kind of up to you. A spoon. If you were to drop a spoon, is a sign that a kind woman is going to be coming to visit you. So I don't know. Maybe if you have guests coming, you'll be dropping a number of. Well, it's an unexpected guest, so I guess if you have guests coming, you wouldn't be dropping them. It wouldn't symbolize anything. The last one here, the fork. If you drop a fork, it's a symbol that an angry woman is going to be visiting you. And honestly, if you've already dropped a knife, a spoon, and a fork, then the angry woman is probably already there watching you drop all of the silverware. So yeah, if you've got butterfingers, just avoid dropping the silverware. Nobody likes that. Now for Valentine's Day, a lot of people are going to want to open a bottle of wine, and that's all good. There's no superstition about wine. But if you do finish the bottle of wine, don't put it on the table. Make sure to put it on the floor. It's considered bad luck. It's not even bad luck. In a lot of Russian superstitions are connected to money or not having money, which is, I guess, historically a nice way for the Russian populace to explain why there wasn't a lot of money to go around for them. That said, keeping a bottle on the table is a premonition, a sign that in the future you won't be doing too well in the way of finances. So just clean up the table, avoid any clutter, and if you do have an empty bottle at the end of the evening, when you do finish it, put it on the floor or just throw it away. That's also an option as well. Just don't leave it on the table. So you've cooked your dinner, you've eaten it, you've cleared away the dishes, you're in the process of cleaning up, and one of the final steps of the evening would be tying up the bag of trash and taking it outside, but not so fast. See, the thing is, here in Russia, it's kind of considered a bit of a blunder, and again, a faux pas, if you will, to take the trash out after sunset. And if we're talking about dinner on Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, it is 100% going to be after sunset. So why is this the case? Now, first of all, there's just the general rule, and I think that perhaps this came from the Soviet Union, that if you were to take your trash out after sunset, it meant that you didn't want people to see what you were taking out. Kind of suspicious. Obviously, you don't want the babushki sitting near the entrance to the building in front of the podъезд, kind of whispering and spreading rumors about you and your mysterious nighttime trash activities. So yeah, that's one of the reasons you're not supposed to take trash out after night. The other reason, which is a little bit further back than, say, the Soviet Union, and which I kind of like a little bit more, is connected to spirits. The old pagan Russia had, I feel like, just as many spirits as like Japanese culture or Korean culture. It kind of feels like the more I dig into it. And in this situation, if you took the trash out after dark, you wouldn't have good luck. Now, some people say that is because if you open the door at night, bad spirits will come in, which is pretty obvious and pretty logical. But I like the other explanation that I heard a little bit more. And in that explanation, the way it works is if you want the good spirits to come into your home, they only come in before sunset. But they're only going to come into your house if it's nice and clean. So you have to do all your cleaning and take all of your trash out before sunset. And then that way, when you open the door and take your trash out, the good spirits will come into your house and bring you good fortune and good luck. Anyway, don't take the trash out in the evening. That is, like I said, a bit of a cultural faux pas, or at least a superstitious one. And realistically, if you have something really stinky in the trash, you're probably good to take it out. I don't think anything's going to happen because of it. But at the very least, if you're feeling kind of lazy and you just don't want to deal with the trash in the evening, you at least have a way out of that now too. You don't want to bring bad luck. One real quick thing here at the end too, which is don't sit on the table, especially the edge of the table. In Russia, if you sit on the edge of the table, it means that you're not going to get married. So obviously on Valentine's Day, if your intentions are pretty serious with an individual, that's a bad sign. But realistically, just don't sit on the table. It's pretty crass, kind of uncultured. And why would you do that? There are chairs, right? Like kind of, well, the whole, were you born in a barn? So don't sit on the table, even if it's your own table, even if nobody's home. It's kind of like don't put your feet on the table, don't put your elbows on the table, don't put your bum on the table, right? Regardless of how clean it might be. So even if you're not super interested in getting married, just kind of don't do it. So that was a collection of superstitions, you know, remotely, tangentially connected to Valentine's Day or activities that you might find yourself involved with on Valentine's Day, situations you might be in on Valentine's Day. I think superstitions are kind of fun. They are these things that we don't often think about. Obviously, when I moved here, I started to get introduced to a lot of these superstitions, things that never would have entered my mind. The flowers are a really good example. First time I bought flowers in this country, I obviously went with an even number, and I got explained very quickly that no, you can't do that. These are things that from childhood, we just sort of, like I said, cultural osmosis, we sort of absorb them without thinking of them. They're present in films, in people's day-to-day activities, even in cartoons sometimes, right? Again, I mentioned the knock on wood thing. And they are habits that a lot of people partake in without actually believing necessarily in them. We just do them automatically. So I think it is always interesting to see what exists in other cultures. Obviously, the Russian one is the one that I'm most familiar with. So hopefully you found these superstitions and the activities or actions that go with them to be interesting. Leave a like below the video, leave a comment, let me know which ones you found interesting. Like I said, if you're Russian and you're watching this and you think I got something a little bit wrong, or you think that there's a variation of the superstition, write it down in the comments, let me know. I think that's the thing with superstitions too, is a lot of the time they aren't some sort of monolith, that they vary from place to place, right? And I think that is kind of true. So, superstitions по-русски это суеверие. Это такое слово, которое, я не знаю, я знаю, как это писать, но произносить все равно как-то сложновато мне. Вот. Как я уже говорил раньше, через месяц будет еще раз, пятница 13-го. Через месяц я сделаю еще один ролик, где я показываю какие-то суеверия здесь, в России, ну, какие есть. И тему пока не знаю, посмотрим. Может быть, кто-то в комментарии, может, там кто-то пишет мне какие-то идеи есть. У меня есть какие-то идеи, у меня там список, у меня в кабинете, какие суеверия я хочу делать, но тему пока не придумал, как это все соединять. Так что, ладно. Anyway, guys, hope you found this interesting, hope you found this entertaining. Hope you enjoyed my weird little bit of Russian there at the end. I'll be back in the near future. If you missed me, tune into the streams. I do that regularly. And I think that's a good way of keeping in touch with all of you. But everyone, have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of the day is when you're watching this. Take care of yourselves. I will see you next time. Until then, this has been Russia in Context. Thanks for watching, and stay safe. It's Friday the 13th after all.